Hey guys, this is going to have to be a quick video, not because I don't have the time to film, but mainly because I filmed a life update slash writing update slash challenge jar video, and it turned out being like 20 some minutes long or longer. I don't know, I haven't edited it yet, but Kai's being crazy. It pretty much depleted my battery, and I have a very limited time that I can film in. One, because daylight is slowly leaving us, and I'm gonna have to take Kai to my brother's soon, and then it's like I have to get so much cleaning done before I actually go to the hospital tomorrow. So I have probably about 30 minutes, I would say, that I have time to film, and I have less battery than that. So we're doing a wrap up today. I have read 10 books in the last 2 months. 2 months? Right, 2 months. I read 6 books in March, which the details of those books I'm already going to tell you are a little faded because I read them so quickly. And then I read 4 books in April that are more fresh in my mind. So let's start off with the ones I read in March. First was Soundless by Rochelle Mead, and this was to complete my reading bingo challenge of reading a book that had elements of mythology in it, and this was supposedly about Chinese folklore, which is another word for mythology. I don't know a lot about Chinese folklore slash mythology or whatever, and this didn't seem like it had much of anything in it. And if the Pixies were the point of the mythology, they needed to be more present in the book. I mean, they were telling us stuff about them, but we got to see them in like the last 10 pages. Okay, not actual last 10 pages. I do recall that I really liked the vivid imagery of this book, which is something I loved about her Vampire Academy series and her Bloodline series, but after about 100 pages, this fell incredibly flat. And that's probably because it's such a thin book that it's like you had to get to the point fairly quickly, and you had to get this stuff pumped out and everything. And it just, after 100 pages, it became tedious to get through. I didn't DNF it because it wasn't like the worst book I'd ever read. It was kind of entertaining in spots, but for the most part, I kind of did want to stop reading it just because it's like I didn't have the time to read a book that I didn't want to read. But at the same time, I was at the hospital and had a limited number of books that I could choose from to read, so I decided to finish it. And I'm going to apologize right now for Kai making noises in the background. He has his monkey toy, and that has like 5 squeakers in it, and every time he plays with it, I regret buying it, but it's happened and I can't take it back. Anyways, I gave Soundless a 2 out of 5 stars, and I will more than likely be donating this to the library or to the hospital. I learned that I can donate books to at least the Frankfurt Hospital. I haven't looked into any other hospitals, but Frankfurt Hospital was really good to us, and they have been for all of my surgeries. I've had 2 surgeries there already. So I really like that hospital, and the people are just so kind, and since I've had to spend so much time there, I kind of want to give other people who have to spend weeks or months at a time there something to read, because that's pretty much the only thing you can do in a hospital is read or stare at nothing. Or I guess you can stare at the TV if it's working. They do have problems with their TVs working, I'll give them that. Okay, the next 3 books I read were part of a trilogy. I read Ruby Red, Sapphire Blue, and Emerald Green. I can't remember if this actually was a challenge or not. Let me get that out. According to... Okay, stop. Okay, according to this, Ruby Red went to fulfilling the challenge of read a book set in a foreign country. These take place in London, both London from the past in several different time periods and the London of the present. Now, I can tell you that 3 stars, 3 stars, 3.5 stars, just because of the twist ending with their butler. I really did enjoy that, and now I want to see a family tree of that. But after hearing so many people rave about this series, I was very disappointed. Nothing about this time traveling aspect of these books is explained until the last book, and even then it's so poorly explained that I still don't understand how it functions. They don't understand how it functions. They're just time traveling willy-nilly unaware of the consequences of this and just not giving a damn. And it's like, what the hell is wrong with you people? I mean, granted, the mastermind behind all of it kind of is the main reason they're all working for this. Yeah, another thing, how does the whole, now that's kind of spoiling things. I don't understand how the whole longevity of the main characters' lives in this book works. It's the best way I can put it. But as a series as a whole, it was decent. It was very fast paced. I read Ruby Red in a day. Sapphire Blue I read in I think 2 days, just because it was causing me anxiety with her cousin. What was her name? Christina or something? I don't know. The cousin's name, I didn't like her very much at all. I didn't like the mother either. But she was a nightmare. And it was causing me so much anxiety because it was unnecessary. Her entire involvement in the story was completely unnecessary. And it got worse in this book. It really got 100 times worse. And this caused me more anxiety. And I think I read this in like 2.5 days. Or less. I don't know. Again, I apologize for Kai in the background. He's squeaking really bad. The books were good, I guess, but I wouldn't like say that they were, to me, worth more than 3 stars. And that's mainly because it was unnecessary drama. It was kind of insta-lovey. Actually, on Gwen's side, it was 100% insta-love, and I was just not into that. It was insta-love just because of how he looked, even though he was a complete jackass. I don't really know what else to say about this series. I wrote quite a few things down. Kai, if you don't quit! Of the few things, oh yeah, I did put on here that this book made my blood pressure skyrocket. It was an overload of testosterone. And that's true. The testosterone in these books were amazing about the high levels they were. It was just ridiculous. It's like these men all needed to be neutered. I'm sorry for any male viewers, but these books made men seem like the most horrible beings on the face of the earth. And I've read a lot of dystopian novels where the men have completely effed up the world, and these men were worse. Oh, Charlotte was her name. I have it on here. Charlotte was included for no reason. Her part never had purpose in the story, or she never progressed the story. Sorry, I read that wrong. Oh, and something else in here. I would have loved to seen more strategizing and problem solving throughout these books, but all we got is drama, drama, drama. And after reading all of Cassandra Clare's books, I'm kind of done with drama. Just meaningless drama. So, I did not hate these books, but I didn't love them either. Will I reread them? Maybe, because they were like incredibly fast reads. Sorry, I had to text my brother. He's home and says I can bring Kai over, but I'm gonna film this first, then I'll go over. And Kai has a water bottle now to play with, so that's gonna be even more noise, and I apologize. I'm gonna take that away from him. Oh my god, Josh. He just texted me back, Kay. Okay. I'm glad you got the text. Okay, I'm taking the water bottle. Okay, so you can see what books I read at the end of March. I read The Archive and The Unbound. Both of these got a 4 out of 5 stars, and they were fantastic. I've heard a lot of people say that the first one, The Archive, was like really slow because of all the world building that had to be done. I found it went pretty quickly. I don't know how fast I read these books, but I do know they're fairly quick. I think I read each one in about like 3 days each, you know. I'm thinking that's around about how long it took me. I did hear that there was supposed to be a 3rd book to this series once the author gets her rights back for the books, and I really want a 3rd book. I mean, I need more of this world and everything, and it's just the system in this world is just like so unique and captivating, and I loved every moment of it. There was some points of the book that it's like, I kind of wish you had done something different. But at the same, you know, the main character is just like, she's doing her best, and she's trying to work things out without like completely giving away what she's doing from her family, and without disgracing her grandfather's memory and breaking the law in general and have her memory erased. It's like, you know, that's the main thing. It's like, don't get your memory erased. But these books were fantastic. I love them so much. And I'm not going to say that Victoria Schwab is my favorite author yet, but if I have a few more of her books that I can read. I think she's really on the way there. If there's any like new to me author that I would say is my favorite, it would definitely be her. And another author that is actually in this wrap up. But let's see, going back to my notes, because I can't remember like all my thoughts like on the books. I remember all the details of the books, but I don't remember like my initial thoughts. Yeah, that was another thing. You had to have the flashbacks to learn about the world in a way that it's being taught to her, so it's being taught to you as well, so it's very easy to understand it. But at the same time, the constant flashbacks were kind of annoying. And I think that's why I didn't get a 5 stars, because the constant flashbacks. Oh, I did find that I liked like pretty much all the characters except for like a couple that work in the archive, or you know, a few of the librarians and the bad guy. I didn't really care for him before we learned he was the bad guy, but I really didn't like him afterwards. But in comparison to other books where I don't like some characters, I would say that all the characters in these books were likable. I'm just gonna read word for word what I wrote here. I really love how in this book it was almost impossible to solve some mysteries till we were given certain information at the end of the book. That was annoying, but I like that better than it just being I've overlooked something, so I didn't catch on. So I like that better. The second book, The Unbound, I felt bad for Owen in the end there. I really did feel bad for him. I'm not gonna say anything else besides that. I really did feel bad for him, and I kind of saw why he was doing what he was doing, and even though his methods for doing it were awful, I do feel like he was on the right track. And I think besides that, and like learning all that we learn about the world in the last book and everything, and the ending leading us to a third book in the series, or there possibly being a third book in the series, still have my fingers crossed that she gets the rights soon and she writes the book. I'm gonna love it. I hope to love it because I love these 2 books. But I think that's all I can say about these books without like going terribly into spoilers, because I just loved these books so much that I feel like I would spoil them horribly. And maybe I'll talk more about them when I have more time to talk and my battery isn't dying. Right now, I have to move on to the 4 books I read in April. Starting with Daughter of the Burning City. And this went to the challenge of a book with your favorite color on the cover, which was purple. And this book I gave a, what was it, 3 stars? I gave it 3.5 stars. Mainly because it's a very unique concept that I've never read about before. I mean, I don't really know what else to say about this book. I'm just gonna read what I wrote on this, and that's all I'm gonna do. There weren't really any jaw-dropping moments, and there were a couple of twists that I saw coming around 100 pages before they happened, but otherwise, as first novels go, it wasn't that bad. There were a couple of twists that I didn't see coming, and I really liked the world building. The only thing I wish had been included in this book is a map to this circus. I cannot pronounce the name of the circus, and a pronunciation guide, which would have been really helpful. I was never sure if I was pronouncing anything right in this book. And that's pretty much all I can say. I mean, I feel like this worked well as a standalone. I think everything wrapped up nice, and she did a really, really good job. And like I said, I did love the world building. Now, I would have liked more of a concept of what time period this is taking place in, and like I said, a map, especially like their traveling route and everything. But great book for, I think it's her first novel. I'm like 100% sure this is her first novel, and I want to read more of her books now. Now, the last series of books I read was Steelheart, Firefight, and Calamity by Brandon Sanderson. And oh my god, I love Brandon Sanderson's work now. Mostly his writing. And oh, before I do that, this went to the challenge of finishing a series. I started and finished a series. Let's see, Steelheart got 5 stars. Firefight got like a 3.75 stars. Not my favorite book. This Calamity got 4 stars. What can I say about this series? The first book, other than having no idea what David looks like or how old Megan is, which is revealed in the last book, I believe. I love the books. I honestly love them. The world building was something I enjoyed the most outside the humor. These books made me laugh so much. I loved it. And I really needed that while at the hospital. I needed that break in tension. Some of it was hard to imagine because of the levels of darkness. This first book is what I was referring to. But I really love the idea of a steel city with underground catacombs. Everything was also very well thought out, and you get to see the characters use research that David had gathered to come up with plans to take down an epic. Then you get to see David improv his way out of trouble when the plan falls apart. I love that. The fact that there was so much strategy weaved into all three of these books, and then if the strategies and plans fail, they improvise. They use whatever means they can to get out of the situation and make it work in their favor. And I absolutely love that. I don't see this happen in many books at all. And will this happen in my book? Probably not, even though there is like a kind of a mystery they have to solve, kind of. I could not be this thought out in my writing career right now. Maybe like 10 years down the road, I will be this good at weaving together mysteries and stuff like that. But at the moment, I'm not that good. And I love this book. It blew my mind. I want more books like this where they think things out and they strategize and they use the information that they spent years gathering to take down people. And it's just, I loved it. And David is such a nerd, an obsessive, nerdy geek. So I obviously love this series. That was my thoughts on Steelheart. My thoughts on Firefight, it was my lowest rating of the series, and I mainly didn't like the fact that Megan took the turn she took. I really didn't like the fact that her powers worked the way they did until Calamity. Then I was okay with her powers, but I was like, Brandon actually did something that not a lot of others do. And then at the end of Steelheart, it resolved itself, and I was kind of sad about that. But I do like Megan's character. I just was kind of sad that she was back. But yeah, Firefight, this one was probably the most irritating for me simply because of the way everything, the turn of events that happened, the problem solving was, I love the problem solving and everything, but at the same time, it felt like they weren't working together as a group, which technically they weren't. They were all working for, themselves, and this was something that I didn't expect to see happen. It was such a tight-knit group, but it's like as soon as they get to what used to be Manhattan, it's like they disperse and become their own like two sets of groups, and then David branches off and makes his own group with Megan, and it's just like, okay. So that was kind of more than a little annoying. The other things I want to talk about in this book, I can't really say without like spoiling major plot points for it. So I'm just going to talk about Calamity now. Calamity, I wanted more drawn out planning. Everything comes to a wrap up in like the last 50 pages of this book, and I know that with everything going on, everything had to be bam, bam, bam right on top of each other, or they were all gonna die. That was just it. Someone was gonna die so the rest could get away, or all of them were gonna die. But at the same time, I wish we had gotten to see, I don't know, better strategizing than them just, the way the last fight happened, the reason it happened, like everything was built up to this last fight, and then it just got dropped on you. It got dropped on the characters too. But it's like all of that, and this is how it's going to end. It felt kind of rushed. And I mean, once again, that's one of those improv moments that they just had to deal with. It was something that was completely unexpected, and I applaud Brandon Sanderson for that. But at the same time, I wanted more planning and strategizing and just more. But it was still a phenomenal book. I really loved it. The plot twist at the end on who Calamity is was completely unexpected. I don't know why it was so unexpected, but it was. Probably because there was no actual hints to it. If there was, I completely missed them, which is on me. But it was crazy. This is another series. It's like the Archive series. It's just I want to talk more about it, but I don't have really the time to talk more about it. I think I want to talk about the Archived more than this series though, just because there's so much into it that wasn't explained. I feel like it feels like there's more to that world than there is this world. This world, I feel like we got a firm grasp of it, and the world building was just so thorough and pretty much perfectly pictured, at least to me when I was reading it, that I mean, there's nothing really there for me to like try to theorize as. I mean, I tried, like in the first book. There was plenty of room to theorize because we weren't really getting a lot of answers. But in the final book, Calamity, we get the answers we need, and it's just like, okay, where do I go from here? I don't know. I want to read more of Brandon Sanderson's books, but I'm not wanting to read like something that's going to be like a really big series. I started to, what was it, Whales of Ascension, I think is the first book to that other series, or maybe just one of the books in the series. I've thought about reading that series, but at the same time I think there's that, and then there's another series that takes place hundreds of years later, and I just don't want to get into that right now. But I do want to pick up more of his books because the world building, the writing style, I loved all of it. And I read these books so incredibly fast. I took breaks while I was home from the hospital, but I think altogether, the Steelheart and Firefight maybe took me like 2 days apiece to read, and then Calamity took me, I think, 3 or 4, just because I was only getting to read like 50 to 70 pages at a time. And I mean, it's not like I was rushing to finish his last book in the series, and I didn't want it to end, so I was taking my time. So these are all of the books that I have read in the last couple months. I am really happy that I am still on track with my Goodreads reading goal. I've read 16 books so far this year, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it is, and 10 of them are right here. So I was behind by 2 books, and the last couple months I really made up for that. And hopefully this continues even after we're out of the hospital, because I kind of need it so I can write some more, because then I get very stressed out if I'm like a little behind on anything, so I really need to stay on track with this. But it looks like Kai either wants to go outside to chase this doe that's in the front yard, or he actually has to use the bathroom. So I'm gonna go do that and then take him over to my brother's house for the night. But until next time, guys, hopefully I will get to film more often. If not, know that I am at least trying to get as much reading done as I can. But until then, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!